There was no way that the Milwaukee Brewers looked like they were going to come back and win it. Who thought when we're in the 6th and 7th inning and that game is just going nowhere for the Milwaukee Brewers, even though they're down by 2 runs and then 1 run, it looked insurmountable. But then came the 8th inning, and we're living for another day. We'll talk all about that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, they always say when you go to a sporting event, a baseball game or whatever, you'll see something different every time. You just never know what to expect. And I think that game kind of just caught us all off guard because everything pointed in the direction that this season was coming to another disappointing end, like so many Brewer seasons have in the postseason. I was writing the eulogy, thinking about I'm going to be coming back to the Locked On Brewers studios and trying to piece together what was a disappointing end to the season. And like The Undertaker, they rise from the dead and get 2 big blasts in the 8th inning to win it. How you doing, everybody? Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. This episode brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.com, Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com, official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. My pregame video yesterday for Locked On Brewers. I was in the parking lot, and I talked about, I'm tired of hearing about 1982. Tired about hearing 1982. That was 42 years ago. And I love that team just as much as anybody else. I was a teenager. I covered that team. I lived that team. I love that team. But since then, the Brewers have done nothing. The Brewers have had an empty history, okay? Empty history. And after losing Tuesday night, I'm driving to the ballpark, and I'm at a stop sign. I flipped through a few things, and the Jesse Winker video comes out, and he was trying to punk us in our own house. And that really got me riled up. And I'm like, we can't let these guys come in here and win this game. And the way it was looking, that was going to happen again. Brewers down 3-1, then 3-2. And then comes the 8th inning. Jackson Chourio, his second home run of the game, ties it at 3. And then a couple of batters later with 2 outs after Willie Adames gets an 0-2 pitch for a base hit. Who had Garrett Mitchell on their bingo card winning the game? 5-3. Williams comes in the 9th, gets Winker for the final out. Poetic justice there. And there we go. But that victory was for the fans. Before we break it down, that one's for the fans. For all the fans, and I've said this, for all the fans who invest so much time and money and go to these playoff games, the Brewers had lost 10 of 11 playoff games, okay? Taking time off of work, everything. They owed this to us. I told a couple of people walking out, I said, the Brewers owed that to us. They did. They definitely owed that to us. And hopefully they're not done. But this team, if any one of these teams is going to come back and do that kind of magic, it's this Brewers team. Because they just find a way to get it done. They just find a way to, when you think that they're down and out, the most resilient Brewers team in history. God, that was fun. I couldn't imagine sitting here Thursday morning thinking about, God, recapping the season, just another disappointment. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. I was going to go golfing Thursday afternoon. I'll go golfing. And I remember last year, I golfed on a Thursday after the Brewers were out 0-2 and thinking I was on the golf course. And I was thinking, God, I wish I was at AmFam. I wish I was at AmFam Field. I'm choking up because, God, what a moment. What a moment it was to be out there. I'm in the media, but I'm also a lifelong fan. You see all the stuff on YouTube on the back of my pictures and all that. And if you followed me as a sportscaster, yeah, we live and breathe these teams here in the state of Wisconsin and this Brewers team, man. And what a win. What a win. Now, we can't stop there. It was for the fans. That game is for the fans. That victory was for the fans, you great fans out there, because you haven't been given anything from these guys, by these guys. No championships, nothing. They got to win that game Thursday. And now we have another game to go to. We live for another day. It's like the NCAA tournament where you want to survive in advance and you have one more day to cheer your team on, at least one more. We got that with the Milwaukee Brewers. We got one more day against these guys. And I heard it from Mets fans all day long because I was taking shots at them and they were coming at me because they took shots at me because I kind of buried them a couple of days ago, the Mets, because I just, the stupid mistakes they always make, them giving up 2 home runs in the 8th inning. That's typical Mets right there. I know you Mets fans are watching it. How do you like that? Well, you're used to that sort of thing. You've had those things happen to you before. Enjoy that night. All you Mets fans who came into Milwaukee and you're all sitting behind the dugout. Yeah, you're good fans and all that. But you guys on Twitter, some of you guys are coming at me on Twitter. Hey, there's our small market team beating you. Take that. Saying that we're in the worst division of baseball, beating up on bad teams. Well, you know what? The Brewers had beaten the Mets. Now let's say 14 of the last 16 games. We're beating up on the big market teams too. Series not over yet. That was for you Mets fans out there too. You guys who want to bury your team right away. You've had some success. You should have more success than you've had. Big market team. You sure don't act like it. Jackson Chourio. I mean, what more can be said? You saw the video. If you didn't, go to Twitter or YouTube when last week Robin Yount showed a video to Jackson Chourio, the final out of the 82 American League Championship Series. Ground ball hit the Yount. One hopper hit the Yount. Yount made the final out. And Chourio had tears in his eyes. And it was talking about the fans and all that. How about that? A week later, Chourio not only homers once, but twice. And when we needed him most, in the 8th inning, a leadoff home run, going Opple right there. And then there's Garrett Mitchell. Garrett Mitchell, a punching bag on Twitter for a lot of Brewers fans. Got caught stealing earlier in the game as a pinch runner. Close play, out. Just one of several things that were going wrong for the Brewers again that have been going right. The Brewers, I feel all this season were stealing bases left and right, making all the defensive plays. Montes drops the ball over at first base, covering first base. Mitchell gets caught stealing second. Stays in the game as DH, and then comes up after Adames on an 0-2 pitch. Had a hit in his previous 6 at-bats, 0 for 6. Comes up, delivers one to left field for a base hit. And then first pitch off the top of the wall, and it climbs over. The baseball gods get that ball to climb over the fence for a home run. And Twitter broke. And FanField broke. And it was a great day to be a Brewers Brewer fan. Fans. It was great. Devin Williams closed it out in the 9th. It was just fantastic and memorable. And by the way, for Jackson Chourio, I said this before, and this backs it up. Postseason awards, like the MVP award, Rookie of the Year, what you do in the postseason should count toward all that. Like if you're a manager and you bow out horribly in a first-round playoff game, I think you should lose some votes for Manager of the Year. Okay? But on the other hand, Jackson Chourio hit 2 home runs and came up a 20-year-old kid when his team needed him most. In my book, that should count for Rookie of the Year honors. Now, again, these postseason honors, I'm tired of winning them all for our teams and no championships. But, man, that should be considered into the postseason awards. I think if you do something in the postseason, positively or negatively, that should go toward these awards. Jackson Chourio. Wow. And did you see the emotion, him running around the bases? And same with Mitchell. That might be the highlight of Mitchell's life. I mean, he may never do that ever again. Who knows where his baseball career is going to go? But he comes up and delivers. Like I said, who had Garrett Mitchell hitting a game-winning home run in the 8th inning on the bingo card? All right, there were some mistakes made, but I thought the bullpen was great. Absolutely fantastic. We're going to get to that coming up next here. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers. We're also going to talk about Game 3 coming up later on today on Thursday. 6 o'clock start, by the way. The schedules will all say 7:30, but they changed it. It's been changed to a 6 o'clock start, and it was gonna be a 6 o'clock start all the while. If there was no other game going to be played on Thursday night, in other words, if the other 3 series had ended in 2 games, which they did, the other 3 ended in sweeps. If there was a lone standing game, Major League Baseball quietly said that's going to be a 6 o'clock start. So no matter what, the 6 o'clock was going to be the lone standing game. So the Brewers got moved from 7:38 to 6:08, which I'm fine with. Get that over with. But 6:08. So just make sure, get to the ballpark 6:08, fight traffic and all that, and get there to the ballpark. But the bullpen, we'll get to the bullpen coming up next. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Appreciate all you new subscribers out there as well. Picked up a lot of new subscribers this week on Locked On Brewers. You get us on YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and that'll alert you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers. Can't believe I almost started weeping on the air earlier. I don't know if I've ever done that. Game 163, 2018, when they won that game. I thought of my dad. All right. Booking.com. Booking.com. This show is brought to you by Booking.com. Even your baseball rivals visiting their cities, well, the right stay can make you a fan of any city, even if you're going like to Philadelphia. When the Brewers win Thursday and you're going to Philadelphia on Friday for Saturday's afternoon game. Booking.com. Get the hotel, get the airfare, get it all on Booking.com. And maybe for all you other travelers who are going to going on a golf trip or a stay and play somewhere or a bed and breakfast, maybe up north, they're all on Booking.com. They make it easy for you. Really, really easy for you. Booking.com, wide variety of choices across the U.S. So many rooms on there, flights and all that. You got to check it out. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city. Even if you're going to Philadelphia this weekend to see the Brewers when they're going, because the Brewers are going to win this game Thursday. Booking.com. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. All right, guys. Man. Ran into a lot of Brewers fans, too, at the game. And if you do see me, which a lot of you guys do, stop me, say hello. Always love talking with you. Selfie and all that. Appreciate all the input on the podcast. And by the way, the podcast, you get it on Google, Spotify, Apple, on all the major downloads, wherever you download your podcast. We are there. And if you are on the audio platform, please look us up on YouTube. Search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers. We're going to be here 7 days a week. We're going to do an episode until the Brewers are eliminated or until they win the World Series this year. We'll be on every day doing a video, doing a podcast. Hey, this is October baseball. Growing up in Milwaukee and a Brewer fan, postseason appearances don't grow on trees. We went 26 years without getting to the postseason between 1982 and 2008. 6 of the last 7 years now. I'm going to enjoy every bit of it. And we're not done yet. We are not done yet, guys. The bullpen, I thought just fantastic. Frankie Montes was hit hard as a starter. He gave up 5 hits in the first 2 innings and 3 runs. and they were not cheap. No home runs. The Brewer pitching staff has not given up a home run yet in 2 games, but he was giving up some rockets out there. And then he settled down, and then they took him out. They took him out after 3 2/3. And another short start for a Brewer pitcher. I thought he was about ready putting he's starting to put the train back on the tracks a little bit. But I can see where they'd take him out. So they did. They took him out of the game. McGill came into the game, did great middle relief, 4th, 5th inning. Hadn't done that in his entire career, pitching in the 4th and 5th inning. And then Payamps came in, got into a bases-loaded jam. And there went Twitter again, and got out of it. Got out of bases-loaded jam. Oh, if he doesn't get out of that jam, Pat Murphy, people are coming after him for going to Payamps 2 days in a row. Just like Council going to Winker last year. Payamps got out of that bases-loaded jam. Thank goodness. And then the Brewers finally erupted in the 8th inning. But that bullpen, McGill did great. I'm going to pull up some other numbers here. McGill, Payamps gave up the 1 hit in his 1 inning. Jared Koenig pitched 2/3. Joe Ross, an inning and a 1/3. That quietly flies under the radar, but not with me. It was a big inning and a 1/3. Joe Ross, he worked around a walk, a no-out walk in the 8th inning. And then Devin Williams, 1, 2, 3 in the 9th inning, getting 3 outs without a strikeout on 10 pitches. So the Brewers used 5 relievers, cover 5 2/3, 5 1/3 to get the victory for the Brewers. Again, they use a lot of guys. Brewers that's their MO. I'm not a big fan of going to that many guys all the time in the bullpen, but I'm glad they went to McGill in the 4th inning, because Murphy thought, let's do or die here. I can't mess around. So he went to McGill in the 4th inning. Then he comes back with Payamps again, showing a lot of trust. Boy, there's a lot of us who wouldn't have shown trust in Payamps in that spot, especially when he's got the bases loaded out there. Holy cow, season on the line. 8 outs to go in the game. Brewers backs to the wall. They scored 2 in the 8th inning and win it. Unbelievable. But I thought even Montes putting the train back on the tracks and pitching, close to 2 innings after he was hit hard early on. I thought that kind of helped out a little bit. Mets fans, we all see you behind the dugout, man. They got a whole section, and they're being loud and all that, and that's fine. That's fine. It's a little annoying when fans from another team come into your house, especially for a playoff game, but they're just being fans. They are not you all who are coming on me on Twitter and bashing our team. But those fans sitting behind the dugout, they traveled well. Mets fans really did travel well. Twitter broke, and Bryce Turang, who I said should play against righties and lefties. I was ticked off many times this year when Turang was not in the lineup in favor of Andrew Monasterio when a left-hander was on the mound. It's like, Turang, you got to put him out there. If he's going to be an everyday player, play him. So there was a lefty on the mound, and Sean Manaea. So Turang dipped from 1st to 9th in the order. He had 3 hits on Tuesday. He comes up with 2 more hits. Turang and Frelick, unless you watch those guys in person, you don't really appreciate them as much. You appreciate them more, I think, when you see their hustle in person. Frelick, man, on Tuesday, he had a Pete Rose-like double. He had a little looper towards right center, and man, that guy was hitting for 2 all the way. So yeah, he didn't have a great season, but I appreciate him a little more watching him every day in person. And there's something there with Frelick that I'm not going to give up on, but it's hustle. He does the things he knows he's got to do. He's got to hustle. He runs like the wind. He is fun to watch like that. And Turang against the left-hander going opposite field, taking a little chopper down the third base line, little things like that. Yeah, left-handers, Chourio better be in the lineup. I'm glad he was in the lineup. He had 2 hits. He's hitting .625 through 2 games so far. Sal Frelick showing a lot of hustle, hitting well as well. The Brewers facing an old friend, Jose Quintana. Jose Quintana. Oh, we've seen him before. We'll tell you about him coming up next. And Tobias Myers on the hill for Milwaukee. We're at a game 3, a deciding game 3 for the first time for the Brewers. We'll get to that next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. I was just thinking during that break there. When's the last time the Brewers see Game 7 of 2018? When's the last time they played a deciding final game of a series at home? Game 7, 2018. Yeah. Because it's Atlanta, they finished up there in 2021. 2022, they didn't make the postseason. 23, they got beat 2 against Arizona. Never saw a game 3. And yeah, here's the first deciding game at home. Clinching game at home. I do not want to see the Mets celebrate in Milwaukee. We've seen too many teams celebrate over the years in Milwaukee. The Dodgers, Arizona last year. Too much of that. I don't want to see that type of celebration from a different team in our house. I want to see that. Number of reasons the Brewers got to win. Jose Quintana. Yeah, an old friend. We saw Jose in 163 back in 2018 when he played for the Cubs. Beat him that day. He's pitched well in his last 7 starts. He's got an ERA of 2.18. He was 10-9 during the season, a 3.75 earned run average. Yeah, I mean, sometimes when he's on, he's on. So when he's bad, he's bad. But he's been pitching pretty good in the last 7 games. Again, that ERA 2.18. Tobias Myers. He's only pitched once against the Mets, and that was on Saturday. He went to 4 innings. 1 hit. I believe there was an opener in that game on Saturday. So then he came in after the opener, I want to say, back on September 28th. He gave 1 hit, Tobias Myers. Our season of riding on Tobias Myers. I think a lot of you feel confident about that, and I do too. Would you rather have Colin Ray pitch? No, I'd rather have Tobias Myers. Savale? No, I'd roll it out with Tobias Myers here. Yeah, I'll take that. Tobias Myers. 608 start. 608 start. One of the reasons why Major League Baseball moved that to a 608 start away from a later start because like I said, because nobody else is playing, they can get an earlier start. I think they want to get the head start on football. Baseball tries to maneuver around football as much as possible. We see Brewer games move game times all the time because of the Packers. There was a time when the NFL wouldn't play Sunday Night Football because of the World Series. Now they don't care. Now baseball moves out of the way of the NFL. Winner of this game goes to Game 1 on Saturday in Philadelphia. Winner of this game goes on. Wow. What a night to be there, everybody. It was. Some numbers against Quintana. Adames is 5 of 14. Contreras is 3 of 8. Hoskins 3 of 15. I'm going to get there early. And I'm going to take it all in. Just like I did in Game 7. I take all these in. This baseball postseason, it is so fun. The buzz in the parking lot and around town on game day. It is great. And if we win this game, the Brewers win this game on Thursday, that buzz just increases. Remember when they beat Colorado in the divisional round and they were going to play the Dodgers? Wow. Man, around town, it was Brewer mania. And that kind of victory on Thursday is just a head turner. We need it. Just a spark. Not that, the game wasn't sold out on Wednesday. There was 40,000 fans. There were 2,000 short of a sellout. That's a little disappointing. Thursday's game better sell out. You got to sell out. Hey, they're not giving away bobbleheads Okay. They're not giving away prime ribs. All right. They're giving away an opportunity to see this team advance to the next round of the playoffs. Let's have a full house there on Thursday. See, the Brewers are giving away $10 tickets for the game. I had to do a double take when I saw that. Saw the email, $10 tickets. Some company in town, I forgot who, sponsored it. $10 tickets. Let's get a sellout at that ballpark. Game 3, divisional wild card round. No reason why this game shouldn't be sold out. It's the Brewers and Mets, especially after what we saw on Wednesday night. There are not a lot of postseason highlights to go around in Milwaukee. Not a lot of them. Morgan's base hit back in 2011 to win that series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Cecil Cooper's base hit in 1982. 2-run single to put the Brewers ahead in Game 5 of the deciding game against the then California Angels. This one's in there too. Not like those, but this one's in there. The night the Brewers were almost done, and the rookie Jackson Chourio delivers, followed by who? Garrett Mitchell. 2-run homer, ends up winning the game. All right, guys. Get our podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, on all the major downloads. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That alerts you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers. Sorry, Mets fans. You said you were all waiting for me to lose my mind today in the podcast. Ain't happening. We're winning this series. This series, we're going to Philadelphia on Saturday. You guys can go back and watch your New York Knicks and your Aaron Rodgers-led New York Jets and your lousy New York Giants team, because we're going to the next round of the playoffs after winning Thursday afternoon, late Thursday afternoon, 6 o'clock. 6:08 that first pitch. Hey, we'll see you all at the ballpark, everybody. My name is Chuck Freeman. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. For your next listen, go to Locked On MLB. My guy Sully wrapping up all the wild card stuff. See you tomorrow night, everybody.